Oh, welcome to our last class. Friday of week 10, we're going to go over the final exam. And the one you really take will be just like this, sort of. So, okay, anyone want problem 1 about how many factors 60 has? No, writing a fraction in percent format? No, writing. No, you got calculators. As a side note, if you aren't sure what to do next term, then Math 25 only has, I think, 10 people registered right now. So lots of room. You know how I am. You know I can do stuff remotely. It's all calculator, all open notes, much more fun. So, anyway, okay, number 3. Decimal to percent, ripple up, everyone's okay? Okay, I am going to do number 4 because lots of people had problems with that. Okay, so on the no calculator test, there were some of these SI to SI things that were starting at the main unit, starting at grams or liters or meters and moving somewhere else. And people tended to do pretty well on those. But the ones like this, where your starting and your ending point both had a prefix, for some reason were harder, and they shouldn't be harder. So I'm going to write out my letters, K, H, D, U, D, C, M, dot, dot, micro. Say where I am starting. I am starting at micro. And say where I am going to. I am going to milli.
Okay,
so it shouldn't be any harder just because neither of those is the plain units of grams or liters or meters. You're just picking 2 things. Then you say, well, what am I doing if I'm going from 1 to, this is 3 to the left. So then I take my decimal point and I scoot it 3 to the left, 0.11. And there we go. And I suppose I should label it because it's a word problem, right? So don't make it harder than that. But underline both things, where you're starting from and where you're going to. Don't try and make it 2 problems of first making it plain grams and then making it something else. Just go directly from start to finish and be done. Should I do another one? No, okay. Okay, things costing more than another. Everyone did great on that before. I think we're okay. Proportion snail.
I forgot about, this is the one I asked, I know how to do it, but, and this is the one I asked the trio lady that was like.
Which one?
The ones, this one, I know how to do it.
Is this one 5 or 6?
6.
6, okay.
And we've done it in class several times, I just.
That's fine. So what kind of problem is it? What tools are we using from our math?
Proportion.
Proportion. We have 2 situations. We have 3 numbers. We want the 4th one. So 17 yards, 6.7 minutes. Then I stop reading the problem. Say the other side has to be yards and minutes. Then I keep reading the problem again. How many yards? So that's the one I don't know. And 90 minutes. Everyone okay with my setup?
Yep.
Then do my cross multiplying. Use your shortcut if you are that kind of person.
Now that you're doing it, I remember. 2. So I divided by. Okay. I didn't have to do that.
Oh, okay. Again, right knee. Keep everything lined up in the right place so you don't get confused as you go. Okay, number 7, division problem. Should we do that one? So per means divide. So it wants people per square mile. The only thing you can do wrong with this one is flip it as you read it and divide the wrong way. So just read it, don't trick yourself. People per square mile. Then I'm going to plug in the number. The people was the big number. The square miles was the other number. So read it carefully. Per means divided. Do your division. Okay. Let's do this one. So this one is, you could do it with unit analysis. Most people like proportions. It's also 2 situations. I have 3 numbers. I need the 4th number. So it's always true that there's 2.2 pounds in 1 kilogram. Oops. Right? That's one general situation. That's just how we define these units. I know on the other side, there has to be pounds and kilograms. Make the units match. In the specific story, there's 77 pounds, and I want to know how many kilograms. Since I did the cross multiplying last time, now I'll take the opportunity to do the shortcut. So you multiply the 2 that have a diagonal, and then divide by the odd one out that's opposite your letter. Remember that shortcut? So 77 times 1 divided by 2.2. Oh, it is equal. You could also do unit analysis if you like that, or if you just sort of are used to this kind of thing and know when to multiply or divide, just do it that way. Questions? Okay, square roots is just your calculator.
I'm gonna say, I know how to do it on a calculator.
I did get a square root out there.
Do we need number 9?
What's 9?
Cups to quarts?
How many quarts? Oh, I just gotta look at my little thing, since now I can use my notes.
Yes, so same as we just did, put the general conversion rate on one side, this many cups in a quart, and the real situation here if you need the fail-safe method. If you can just look at it and know whether you're dividing or multiplying, good, but not everyone can.
Sorry, I like that.
Okay, centigrams to kilograms. Should we do another one of those SI ones? I'm thinking we should, just because I've graded no calculator tests. Oops. There you go. So same thing. I write out my letters. I'm going from centigrams to kilograms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left. That looked like a 5 and not a 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5, So there we go. Don't make it harder than it is. Don't try and go to
There
plain
was
grams
some
in
on
the middle.
final. One was. Tricked me on that.
Okay, if you find it, ask me.
No.
Same thing with micrograms and milligrams, lots of these scootings. Okay, square root of 3136.
Calculator.
Yes, you have your calculator do that. That's all we need you to do in Math 20. Do you need help making sure your calculator can do that over here? No, okay.
3136.
Yeah,
It's 56.
Yeah.
I didn't know
so
how to do that.
this one is another one people make harder than it is.
Yeah.
All I want to do is say 55 and 24 100ths, and then, oops, I am not done. I need to reduce the fraction part. So 6, 25. Don't make it harder than that.
One time I messed this up. I was wondering if I not broke my hand. I did this wrong. Yeah. Well, now we can use our calculators.
Okay,
So,
so this one, first I'm going to round,
30 times 0.2.
right? So I'm going to get nearest dollar, I'm about $30. And then find 20% of $30. So 20% became 0.2 with Riplop.
So $6.
Of becomes times. Yeah, yes.
Those ones are easy. The ones I. Oh, we'll wait till we get to it.
Okay, percent of the decrease. Should we do that one? Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I just figured, okay, so you go 189 minus 160.
Yes. So what is 189 minus 165?
24. I know how to do some of this. It's like it's
And then which is the original?
the 189.
The 189. So make sure that this is the way you mess up when your brain is panicking, that you don't pick the wrong one as the original. The reason I draw my little arrow is so that I'm thinking, oh, we're going from here to there, right? Help my brain be visual. So what's the percent of it, the decrease? My decrease is 24 pounds out of 189 pounds, right? How do I change a fraction into a percent?
So that's 12.7%.
So that's about 1, 2, you did, I'm just showing everyone what you did, right?
I know how to do math understanding. And I do really well at it.
That's why I really wanted to do the let's all meet in the park thing, because sometimes just being in the same group with all your classmates and the teacher makes it work better. But, oh well, okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know why I'm sitting by myself.
If you rounded it to 13, it would be fine. Right? We're weighing people on a scale. It's not very accurate. Okay, which is more?
Oh, they are easy.
This one, it's a two-part problem. First, I have to do
0.56.
50% of that. Write down my answer. Stop. Take a breath. Then I have to find 54% of that. Write down that answer. Stop. Take a breath, and then look at your two answers and pick the bigger one.
It's kind of like the brand A, brand B.
It is.
But it's not, it's multiplying and not dividing.
Right. And the percent of something is just like we did with the tip,
So the
where
other
you
one
take
is
the
more.
percent, ripple off it so you can put it in your calculator, and then multiply it with times.
Wait a minute, I need to write
Sure, I can write it all out.
Yeah.
that. I wing it.
Okay, so what you do is you go 0.56 times 7. And then, yeah, you do on the brand A, but this one you don't because it says, these are actually, except for there's one in there that does it.
Everyone happy now?
We should have just done finals.
I know.
That's what we should have just did.
We've tried things on Friday and you always run out of time, so.
I would stay.
I would stay.
I mean, I already got.
Oh, okay. Coffee order truck drinks 13 cups of coffee a day. How many gallons a
That
year?
can't be healthy.
So,
What was this?
no.
So, okay, so there's 16 cups in a gallon.
But
Yeah.
4
So
cups
you
of
go
coffee is
16.
okay.
16
4 cups of coffee is okay. 16 cups, that's
times.
too much.
So it's about 449 gallons.
So we're going to say, let's get out of cups. Remember, cups on top. So put the next one on bottom. So 1 gallon is 16 cups. Get
This
out
one's
of
always gonna be-
A.
I hate this though. I could do without these problems.
Yep, if you can do it without the fractions, good. The fractions are just telling you that you're doing it the right way. So multiply across the top, 13 times 365. Multiply across the bottom,
Yeah,
divide top divided by bottom. Because that's how we get decimals, just like we did there, right? Top divided by bottom. Okay, so whatever this is, divided by 16.
Oh, I did it wrong. Oh, I divided the wrong one.
so saying 297 is okay.
Again, how accurate would this fictitious situation be anyway? Say
Oh,
300, good enough. Realistically, he's going to be hospitalized before the
Realistically, people are gonna be dead of a caffeine overdose. Sorry to sound morbid, that is true.
That'll work. Should we do the next snail problem?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the longer one. This one only had 2 extra fractions we added in blue. So the snail, yeah, this is a good problem to skip if you're wanting to skip something.
You didn't bring your kids today.
So same as before. Doesn't matter if I get rid of yards or minutes first. Which one?
Yard.
Feet to yards. Okay, so where do I put the feet? Where do I put the yards?
Oh, there you go, it's on the bottom.
Yards on the bottom, so it'll cancel. The feet go on the top. 1 foot is, no, 3 feet is 1 yard. Okay, next.
Miles per hour?
I don't know.
Miles to feet.
Miles to feet. That one I can do. So,
Minutes an hour?
so feet goes to miles. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. I'm almost there.
I'm really glad I didn't have to memorize that.
Hour?
Minutes to hours. 1 hour is 60 minutes. So now
We just-
I have miles per hour like I want. Yay, I can stop with adding these blue fractions.
So, 17. Easier when you go and do it. But when I get these problems by myself, I don't do.
I'm going to rewrite this because it looks to me like 67, so it's going to confuse someone at home if I don't write it nicer. There we go.
I can use this note. I'm excited.
Okay.
Yay! It's easy, like, I don't like these problems when I'm by myself. But
That's why people do math in groups.
that's what-
Okay, questions about this one? This is long, but it's not that bad. Right, same process, it just has 3 blue fractions instead of 2.
it looks good.
Okay, secret villainous moon base. Should we do that one?
I hate
I know.
It's not bad.
That's the one I think that's gonna break me.
Oh,
This one, let's see.
like, when am I ever gonna use?
Did my picture not copy? That's fine. Okay, so 1 room area is a length times width is 45 by 66. So whatever that is. 2,007. The other area is 40 times 77.
Did anyone ever get the cheat sheet?
Okay, then if I add them up, how much is used by those 2 rectangles total? So we have the ninjas and the pirates. So the ninjas was 2970. The pirate area was 3080. The total is 14,000. How do we find out this sort of orangey area?
Proportions?
They're not asking what percentage is, just what's square foot. We have this blob. We need to do what we know. Just take them away. I'm subtracting away those 2 rectangles. So I get 7,950 left over. I could also just subtract them separately. Whatever makes sense to your mind. Is that okay now? Just take them away. That shouldn't be too tricky. It's just area is length times width twice, and then get rid of it. Okay, 21 is a little trickier. So the perimeter of my square going all the way around is 220. So if I was to draw my square and just label the sides, how would I find the sides?
5x4.
Yeah. Each side is going to be 1/4 of the way around. Now, how I do area of a square? Same thing, length times width. At all. So this one is only tricky because we're sort of doing the perimeter formula backwards. Most of the time in class when we've talked about perimeter, you've been adding up the sides. Now they give you the perimeter and you have to kind of unravel it. 22 should we do? So triangle has sides 6, 8, and 10. It doesn't matter which you put for 6 and 8, but we know that this one is the 10, because that's the longest one that's going to be opposite your right angle. So the perimeter, you just add them up. My mental math work okay there? Asleep yet? My area is 1/2 base times height. So for my calculator's sake, I'm going to make it 0.5. My base and my height are going to be the two sides that aren't the longest side. The longest side can't be my base or my height. And in this case, it works out the same. 6 times 4. Label things right. Perimeter is plain feet. I've taken a tape measure around the thing. Area is square feet. I'm putting paint or tiles in it. Yeah. Okay, and it is 10 till. If you need to leave, I'll keep going.
Be good.
Okay.
And just send you an email quick. I mean, for the no calculator.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so should we do the circle comparison one?
Sure.
These aren't bad. So
No, this one's hard. 9 by 2.
So for both of them, area is pi times r times r. The first one, it tells you, oh, radius of 26. I can just plug that right in.
So, like, how do I do that on this? I go. Shift, or second, second. Yeah, whatever you want. That's what my key.
Or do 3.14. Like, super simple.
How little sign, times.
10 is the next one, right? 10 times 10. Divide by 2.
So for this one, the diameter is 54.
Well, so this is easy as like to have a calculator.
Yes, which is why we did the annoying no calculator test first, to get all those problems out of the way.
Okay, so the diameter, so we need to find the radius.
So the radius, if all the way across and halfway is, yeah, so we're going to get 27 for the radius.
So 54 divided by 2.
Right.
Okay, don't put an answer on like, not yet. Let's see if they do it right. Yeah. Whatever you guys do.
Okay, so which one is bigger?
This one, circle B,
Yeah, and by how much?
just subtract that one.
Yeah,
Oh, so there's 2 parts to this.
3 parts, right? First you have to find A, then we have to find B.
So 106. Okay, just-
So number 5 in our measurement homework is kind of like that, but I keep getting it wrong. And I cannot figure
Figure it
out
out.
why. Can we kind of
Can
do
we
that
look
one?
at
I can
that?
show it to you really quickly.
Let me here to get there. This one?
Half circle?
Yeah.
Yep.
This is actually totally different. It's not asking for the area. Are you
But I mean,
finding?
you're still
That's
doing
for
diameter, so it's
perimeter.
asking for the perimeter, and I still keep getting.
Which is difficult to figure out because perimeter is like the sum of the sides,
Diameter
and
times pi, right?
circles don't have no sides.
And then so I do the diameter times
So
pi
I'm gonna-
by 2 because it's a half circle.
No. So here is my shape. It has 2 parts. It has a half circle and a line, right? So for the half circle, circumference is pi times diameter. So that's going to be pi times 8. So, yeah, this is the turn-in homework. So about 25, not square feet, just feet. So that's this green distance as I go, but that's all the way around. So what do I have to do next?
That's only half.
No, I need only half of it because I don't want to go all the way around
So
this.
divide by 2,
So I divide that by 2.
which was what I did. Because there was no answer for it.
Right. So now we've gone this way, and that's 12.5 feet, and we're happy.
That's what I
But we're
got.
stuck over here. We haven't gotten back to here yet, to where we started.
Oh.
So how much more do we need to go back to start?
You do it kind of like what you do with triangles or make it.
No, it's right there on the page.
8.
8, this is 8. So 12.5 plus 8 is about 20.5 feet.
Oh, I get it.
Okay.
When I get to 12.5, I'm like, God.
And again, this isn't the practice final. This is measurement number 3.
Okay. You know what that one is? You don't know that over, because you did the half circumference and now we're missing the bottom. I got it. Thank you for showing that to me.
You're welcome.
Hey, that was a trick.
Okay, so back to the actual practice final. We need to do the one-step solving equations. Anyone? I think I need to do the division one because someone has missed that before. So 312 divided by Q equals 6. So I have a divided by Q. What's the opposite of divided by Q? Times Q, yeah. So then I get the 312, and these things will cancel out, and I get 6 times Q. So how do I get Q by itself? Divide it by 6, yeah. And then those cancel out, and whatever that is, 52.
That's what it was. Got a lot. I need help with Joyce and her interest.
Okay. Question?
Could you do like a small problem of multiplying and dividing by decimals?
Multiplying into, I'm not sure what you're asking. Find one for me to do. If you're just multiplying 2 decimals together, we have calculators now. So the no calculator test is done.
Well,
Ooh, I
I
like
don't know
these
how well I
ones.
did on the
Oh, Sheila.
This one I didn't do that.
So for this one, the simple interest was that interest is principal times rate times time, right?
I still could not.
So don't rush. First, we're going to take a break and find out what all the 4 things are before we dive in to plug them in. So what is the interest? That's what she writes her check for, but she's also paying back the loan.
So.
So I have to take away the loan amount.
So it'd be, okay. Oh. Okay.
So she borrowed this much, and at the end of the 35 days, she has to pay back that much. That's part of what her check covers. Anything beyond that amount must have been she's paying for the interest. She's not going to just give the money.
30.
Is that okay for that one line? That's the trickiest part, but there's a little bit more. So what was the principal? That was the 1,195. That's how much the loan itself was. The rate is what we're solving for. And the time is 35 days, but we don't want days. Simple interest has to work with years.
I put it all in our calculator, so we go. Right?
So we're going to divide by 365.
So you go 1, 2, 2, 5.94 minus 5 times 35 divided by 3.
So what I wind up with is my 3094, that goes in the interest spot, equals my principal times my rate times my time. I'm just plugging each of the 4 blue things into where they go in my formula. And that looks a lot like this. I have an equation with a letter in the middle. So how am I going to deal with the fact that my r is trapped sandwiched in between 2 numbers? I want to get that r out by itself.
Just multiply first and then divide that.
Yeah, so we could say, you don't have to write this much. It doesn't matter what order I multiply things. So it's exactly the same. Oops.
Oh, 35 divided by, okay, that's the rate of that.
Make that look like an 8.
Okay.
It's exactly the same if I switch these two. And then I can put those together first.
So. You have to have the whole long number.
I'm actually not rounding on my calculator. I'm just doing times 1195 to the thing that was in my calculator already from the division problem.
Okay, I'm confused. So what?
You still need to get r by itself. There's r times something, which at least now looks familiar. I know how to deal with those.
3094 divided by whatever that is.
Yeah, if there's a times something on r, I'll divide by it to get rid of it.
Because when there's a part, which I know that I did one. It's not the difference of, yeah, those are the, this one.
It is a great time to use your previous answer key. Oops, why did that go?
Yeah.
Screw up.
I'm good at the other one that says like. Yeah, yeah, and then you're.
So if you look at how much writing is on the board, this is by far the longest problem. Even Stalwart the Wonder Snail was a quickie compared to this one. So if you can do this one, great. If you can't do this one, don't feel bad. This is like the big one.
Which, is this the final that you passed out?
Is this
The one that you passed out last on Monday?
Monday? Oh, I don't know what numbers those are.
That you're going over. You know?
Hmm?
This final.
No, this is just a random one I wrote
Okay.
it. A number minus another number equals a number. Should we do that
Oh.
one?
So you just, I did, this is subtract. So 1, 2. We had it on the no calculator.
We had it on the no calculator. A number minus another number equals a number. Now, if your calculator has that AB over C key, you're allowed to do that.
It would just be 7. Right there. You go. 1/6.
But not too bad, even if we do it all out longhand. Okay, another proportion. This many ounces, this many milligrams of medicine. How many ounces, that many
Oh,
milligrams.
that's what we just read
So
it
that's
out
just a
like that.
proportion. This one was the proportion, but the how many more does it need to hire was an extra step at the end.
Okay, for this one. How do we do this one? This is just that 430. Get confused on this one.
Which one? Which number?
30.
30. Okay, 30.
That's easy one.
30. Yeah, translate it. So 434 is what percent of 790. So 434.5 is becomes equals, what becomes our letter? Of becomes multiply. How do I get y by itself?
Okay, so you'll just divide.
I am not done. Why aren't I done? That looks like a nice answer. Yes, I need to replot. It asked for a percent. So since it said what percent, I have to be polite and make it a percent because that's what it wanted. Mhm. Okay.
I would just make it that much harder than it. Like I do.
Okay, 31 is really tricky. So I have this car price and it goes down by 22%. I can make that look a little more like 22%. How much is the rest of my pie? What percentage?
Don't we just divide this one?
No, it's not as easy as you think. The whole pie is 100%. So if the slice is 22,
0.22
what percent goes here?
Minus 22.
100 minus 22, which is
I can't even think. Steve.
88.
Thank you.
not quite 88. Oh, that would be 110.
78.
78. Now I have this number, the 26,000. Which pie slice is that number going with? The small pie slice or the big pie slice? The big one, right? This amount is 26,000. I don't know what number goes with this pie slice. So I can't use a 0.22 in my math because I don't know what other number goes with that red pie slice. That is a red herring. I'm now done with it.
So you just give it a one.
So my question is 26,000 is 78% of what?
So
Does that question make sense before we actually solve it? I had my whole pie, and the 26,000 was 78% of what was the whole pie. Questions?
My question would be, how would you find the 78%?
The 70, so we had to go 100% minus 22% equals.
So that part's easy.
Oh,
But this next
it all gets easy if you see it done. That's why we're showing you. So now I translate 26,000 becomes equals 78% becomes 0.78.
Oh.
Of becomes times what becomes y. How am I going to get y by itself?
Divide it.
Divide it by the 0.78. And our brains hate this problem. We really want to do something with 0.22 instead of 0.78, and it does not work.
Yeah, I definitely want to lose you.
So if this looks really awkward, and why can't I just do something with
And the line over it.
the
Line over
0.22?
it.
No, because it's dollars and cents.
So only one stuff.
I suppose I could put the cents on Make Sheila happy. Okay. Yeah, so if you don't like this, if you really want the 22% to be something, then your brain is normal.
Oh, so it's really not that hard of a problem.
It's not, you just have to have seen it once. That's why we made English muffins in class. So everything is easy if you know the trick.
All we need to do is, like, subtract that from 100 and then divide that by the percentage.
Mhm.
Okay, you didn't need all the other things. Okay, if I remember it.
Should we do 32? Let's do 32. What percentage of a mile is 238 yards? So 200 and remember our general percent sentence fill in the blanks Mad Libs kind of problem. So what numbers go where?
Okay, 20. We don't have a. Oh, what, which is what?
And it says what percentage, so that's the what,
Yes.
that's the easy one.
That is our language.
Where does the 238 yards go? It is, yeah, this is what I know very well. 238 yards is what percentage of, where does the 94 days go?
Under the 238?
No, it's garbage. That's just there to distract you. Ignore the 94 days. That's not part of this problem. So what I want to do, but I can't, is of a mile, is do of a mile. But I need yards because I have yards, right? So I need to change miles to yards. Everyone okay with why that goes in the blank? We don't know what it is yet, but we're just like making our plan. Okay, so now let's go off to the side and do that. So 1 mile is 5,280 feet. How do I go from feet to, yeah, so I'll divide by 3.
It's a lot harder than it
And you might just want to memorize that there's 1760 yards in a mile, since you're allowed to have notes on your mile.
And right.
Okay, that's all this off on the work thing. Okay, so that's my question. 238 yards is what percentage of 1760 yards? Now that is finally done, does it make sense looking? So 238 is,
Like I told you.
Yeah,
I'll
them-
never use this in my lifetime.
the renewal name is not a good one for this.
My phone knows. You guys.
Okay, how do I get y by itself?
Divide it by whatever.
That's right.
I feel like there's just a lot to get there. There's just a lot to get there. Yeah, so you just skip those.
Well, now that there's no time limit,
31.
then you shouldn't be skipping around as much.
No time limit?
Okay, I need clarification. I need to rectify this. Are we doing the final at home
Yeah, because I can't meet with you.
and sending the answers and then?
And a photo of your scratch work.
And then the one-on-one, right?
Yeah,
What's a one-on-one?
After we do the final. It's kind of like-
that's where we do a video or phone chat and I say, tell me how you do this problem. And you say, well, first I do this step. I do this step.
Oh, so you're grading us twice on it?
Yes, because if you show up, remember we did this at the beginning of the hour? if you show all of your steps very nicely, and I can see what you did, then our one-on-one chat will be very short, because I don't have to ask you what you did, I can see it. If, on the other hand, your paper is just a bunch of stuff wandering all over the page, not in order, then I'm not quite sure how you did number 4. So I will ask you. Does that make sense? So.
No, you're gonna be talking to me for a while. I just don't do a lot of work, like, yeah. I have my no calculator, I didn't have much. I did it on.
Okay, temperature. Do we need temperature formula stuff?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Should we help with that one?
That's easy.
Okay, oh.
Okay, so
If you just.
So temperature. I have all these formulas here, but don't. Now, what I want is, whoops, wrong way.
So if our notes look halfway decent, and we send them to you, and you see our work, and you really have. So I have to work on doing my problems a little bit better.
Okay, I'm going from Fahrenheit to Celsius. And this is unusually tricky. It doesn't sound tricky at all, but you will be surprised when it's actually test time how hard it is to realize I'm not going Fahrenheit to Celsius or Celsius to Fahrenheit. So slow down, take a breath, make sure you know which way you're going, because your brain might decide to trick you. So which of these formulas goes from Fahrenheit to Celsius? The top group
Top one.
or the bottom group?
So Fahrenheit to Celsius, the bottom.
The bottom group. I'm putting in a Fahrenheit in the middle of this business.
Oh, yeah,
and it's
yeah.
spitting out a Celsius by itself. So,
This should be our.
Yeah.
We know this.
oops, no, I need to go back to that slide. So I take my formula, I plug things in.
Because I heard you
Not that I'm laughing.
What did you think? You tricked me. Like the only one.
Oh, no, you stand up for class and help me. Oh, that's.
Well, you know what the closest to the back.
Well, I'm really loud. They always want to be quiet at work. Too. What did I do wrong? Okay. Oh, this is where I go wrong in here. 85.
You can write the C.
Now,
Divided by 1.
if you don't put in the parentheses, your calculator will do this wrong. Because without the parentheses, division comes first before subtraction. So either do it in 2 lines like I did,
You know what I didn't
or put the
do?
parentheses.
I didn't push equal before I divided sides, so therefore that's probably the right answer.
So do either 2 lines or parentheses, but you can't just plug it all in without parentheses.
So when we add stuff, like, so when I'm writing out the problems for you,
Mhm.
I can tell you what I plugged into my calculator, and that would be like the step.
Okay, but if you just write it nicely, then we're done.
Really trying to get out of this.
No, I just don't write.
It never hurts to write more.
No,
Okay, whoops, where are we?
I'm gonna get some more of this paper right there.
Okay, let's do 35 before anyone gets too bored. So this is your extra challenge problem. We haven't actually done this.
I know.
This
saw it
isn't
looking
math
at it.
20, this is math 60, but you can do it. This is so you can feel happy and do math 60 math, even though it's not math 20.
This one was tiny.
So 44 of something is 2 of something and 6 more. So imagine I have scales on one side of my balance scale. Remember our balance scale pictures? Balance scale pictures, right? On one side of the balance scale, I have 2 of something and $6 or whatever it is. And the other side, I have 44 of those things. So how can I simplify this more complicated side of my scale? Yeah, the 2W. I can just pick it up and lift it off the scale. And if I do that to one side of the scale, I have to pick up the other one and lift it off the other side of the scale. So then on this side, there's only 6. And if I took away 2 of the W's, how many are left on the heavies? 42.
That's all it is 42.
Now 42, the other thing is that in Math 60, if there's no arithmetic there, what's happening? Multiplying. So this is 42 times W. So the opposite of times 42 is divided by 42. And whatever that is. 2, blah, 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 right? So just picture that you have a balance scale.
And I'll be on my notes that you send me after class.
And one of them has a whole pile of W's. The other has 2 W's and a something.
I don't
You're just going to
remember
take 2 W's off each side.
what-
Yes,
Go back to the Celsius comparison.
sure. Whoops, that's an empty page. The formulas or?
Yeah. Thank you.
And remember, you only need 1 from each box. So the top one is the easiest one for almost everybody.
At night, it's a beautiful, why do people want to do it the harder way?
Why do people want to do it the harder way? Because before calculators were invented, traditions started happening.
They want to show off.
As far as 34, like I did the
Because
opposite
I'm-
of five times weight times speed, I got the area, but I'm not sure how they got the answer from there.
Let me see.
There's obviously like. numbers to that.
No, actually, so this was the big one minus that one. Okay, let me get one of those. Okay, are you done with the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back here and reload. There we go. So one of these. So the trapezoid, the area of my trapezoid
Ooh, I wrote that.
is going to be my top plus bottom divided by 2.
I did not know that.
And then times my height. The average of top and bottom times the height. So which one is my bottom of the trapezoid? That's the 37.5, right? That's which one is the top? It says that's the top is 20. And which one is the height? That's this thing. That's my 25. So again, be careful with parentheses. Put your parentheses in the calculator so it doesn't do things wrong.
Otherwise I can have my daughter face.
Or write it another step so that all that's left is multiply and divide.
That sounds good.
Okay, so we're partly done. We found how big the whole trapezoid is. Now we need to take away
Triangle.
the triangle bite. Everyone with me for the plan? So the area of the triangle, whoops, that's not. The triangle is 0.5 times base times height. What's my base? That was the 20. And what is my height? That one, I just have to look, it tells me, because. So half of 20 is 10, times another 20 is going to be 200. And we're still not done,
No, I subtracted.
because we have to subtract them, yeah.
How many do you have to get, right, 26 on this one? Oh, he told us on one of these.
Okay, square feet. Okay, how many do you have to do to get an A? Well, there's 35 problems, so I would ask, what, you need 85% for an A. What is 85% of 35? So y equals 0.85. See, this is so much you never do it in real life kind of math. No, there's no dividing. I'm just multiplying the two things. So
9.75.
So if you get 29, right?
you have to get 30 right, or 29. So you could, to get 30 right, you could get 30 right completely and skip 5, but I would do more than 30 so you can get some partial credit and fill in the gaps.
I'll do them all.
But you can certainly skip your least favorite one. So the one about the interest, that was the longest problem, you could skip that and do fine.
That
Or,
one, I got,
or this one, if you really don't like playing with shapes, then you could, you could,
I already know I'm not doing that one. I'm just like,
if
'cause
you're,
then I'm gonna have to explain to you how I got it.
I'm not going to have time on the phone to have you narrate your entire test. I'll just pick one or two.
The ones that you did that I showed
Okay,
you.
that's fair.
So, I mean, if I do this one on there, you're gonna probably need to ask me. I'll be honest with you, I did that one.
Okay, I'll turn off the recording. Anyone have other questions about anything?